Hi everyone. So straight on to part 2 of this lovely big vase. And as far as we have done, let's have a look. A little bit of black cloth. Oh my goodness, this is so heavy. You can see very basically the leaves. You probably can't see that clearly, quite frankly. Oops. Let me see. So far there's only one there, and there's one there where I have put a leaf in the front. Okay, and so I'm going to be finishing that and the other leaves, but I'll probably also add some more leaves on top of the flowers, one or two of the flowers, so that you can see a different process of adding the leaves over already fully engraved flowers. Because these, while they are fairly deep, they're not really deep, so I can manage to engrave the leaves on top. Anyway, let's get on with it. First up is a Jura White. Now I'm just going to pick up on some of the leaves that I've very roughly engraved over, appearing to be in front of the roses. There's only a couple of them at the moment. And of course, I showed you in the previous video how I started engraving them and then did the roses around them. So later on I'm going to do a leaf which is going over the top of the engraving that I've already completed the rose of. Okay, working dry, of course, as usual, because I don't want to wear out my burr. Unlike the diamonds, of course, where I prefer to have water. There's a lot of dust coming off here, I must admit. I didn't have the dust extractor on. I was just using my mask. Now, this particular burr is a funny old thing. I mean, there are lots of stones that you can use. You've just got to play it by ear. I'm just looking for a stone that is quite a soft tone and will polish easily. And as you can see, I have now pulled out the very small Jura White, which I know is going to produce a darker effect. Now, I must admit, I have mentioned several times before how I find this little burr, it behaves differently with the different direction that you are engraving it in. With the drill spinning one way or the other, whether you push it away from you or bring it towards you, it produces a slightly different effect. Now here I've jumped back to a slightly larger diamond, which I'm actually working dry, as you can see. I just wanted to sort out this rose, and it's funny because I haven't touched this vase for a little while, and of course I started doing the petal going the wrong way, and I suddenly realized, oh, for goodness sake, that's got to be floating upwards. It's turning upwards. So I've just very quickly changed my direction, and you can see that I'm now engraving the top of the petal coming downwards very roughly. This whole thing gives you the impression of, it's never a perfectly realistic image. There's drawings and engravings and paintings out there that look like you're looking at a photograph. Mine will never be like that. Mine are more arty looking. So now I've got a little brown rubber, which I am polishing back part of the leaf that is in front of the rose. As you can see, basically the rose is very white and the leaf is very dark, and that is just the contrast so that it'll show up. This is a little diamond, of course, just touching up the rose in the background. I had suddenly spotted another leaf, which was a little bit camouflage, and so I'm out with the Dura White again. Little brown rubber. And then a little bit of contrast. Okay, more than a little bit of contrast. No contrast actually. I've just polished it dark. I'll add some contrast in later. I never know. We were talking about this in the live chat. Oh, I actually don't know. And in this case, I only did this afternoon. So, yeah, I should actually remember. So, back to a little blue stone, which is a kind of a half tone. It's not as dark as the Dura White. It's just a softer tone than diamond. It's hard to tell at the moment because it's near the top, which is a bit near the light. And so the light is a little bit bright and blasted out here. In a moment, what I'll do is I put a bit of bubble wrap underneath, well, between the light and my work, and that subdues the light a little bit later on. So now I am just going over all the leaves in my most basic fashion. This is my quick leaf. So you're engraving your effects one direction and then the other, like the veins. Making sure you can't see any of your original outline. I've got very clumsy stalks actually. They could have been a little bit more delicate. Now you can see I'm using this other stone to just add a couple of little contrasting highlights to the overlapping leaf. When I see it on the screen, I can see how I definitely need to spend a little bit more time being careful on parts of it. But I've got to say, because it's such a big vase, I had it kind of propped up and turned slightly to face the camera and trying not to get my head between the camera and the vase. I am slightly at an angle. My line of attack is slightly at an odd angle, which means I don't always see it as clearly as I'd like to. See one direction and then the other, and it's given us an instant variation in shading on the leaf, and I did nothing. I do enjoy that effect when these stones do these little magical things. I think I am easily pleased. Anything that makes anything quicker and more simplified. So as you know, I'm usually doing everything at 100 miles an hour. Now, I didn't know what was going on here at the bottom of this flower, which is a little bit strange. So I decided to add a leaf there. And I do neaten the bottom of that flower a little later on. Don't forget to do some twisty leaves. Now I move on to my grey rubber. It's a softer rubber. You can try a different rubber, whatever rubbers you have got. A softer one is better in this case because it's going into the depths of the engraving, not just over the ridges. Now I can't remember if I did neaten the bottom of that rose, but never mind. The shapes and the And the shades are there and the contrasts, and you know what you're looking at. And that is how I like to do my engraving. A lot of the fluff that I am wiping away, in this case, of course, is not glass. This is the rubber. So they do wear out fairly fast, which is annoying. And that's why I certainly would never use them wet, because that would just make it even worse. Here I have got my little grey rubber. No, it's not grey, it's brown. My little brown rubber. There are green ones and various other colours. This is just my favourite. I'm now flattening the top just on the side of an old stone burr. You don't really want to give the burr a wobble, but this is not really going to affect it. Of course, you can put the stone burr in the drill, and that'll very quickly flatten the top. So I just wanted to take that sharp point off so that it's got more of an edge rather than a point. And you can see I'm just running it down these leaves. Now, there's nothing stopping you taking a very tiny diamond or a rat's tail diamond and using that to create going down the little leaves down the middle, the veins of the leaves. You can make them white rather than dark, but I'm just making them dark. I'm enjoying the contrast so that the flowers stand out a little bit more. So I decided to bring this flower further forward in front of the other flower behind it, if you know what I mean. The fact that it actually hasn't got a stem it's hanging on. We'll just ignore that for the moment. I might add one another day, maybe before the client comes and picks it up. But it doesn't matter. I know I think just about now I add oh yes, I think we're about to do it now. This is a Dura White, and I'm about to create some stems and leaves. Oh, now I decided to show you that I do have a very, very old stone burr, which I've just used there to flatten the top. So, out of my head, boom, I decided to put in a bit of stalk. Just freehand. And in fact, it's probably better to use a pen and just sketch them on first. Yeah, you can see I'm just adding a leaf. It will become dark, don't worry. It's looking a bit bright at the moment, that's the light. And there's another one. You can make these things up as you go along. It's fantasy. You have a billion different, well, in fact, there are no numbers to describe how many options you have for your little composition. So you can do whatever you like. I'm just adding a little contrast on the top of that leaf. Now I have a diamond in the drill, and I'm just adding some very, very tiny center bits. That probably in real life is a little bit too high, but you know, as I say, it doesn't matter. It's your creation. Now I have a very tiny ball diamond, and I'm adding some teeny weeny little stamens. And I've just put a blob on top of one of my leaves because I just didn't notice it there, because I'm in fairyland half the time. And yeah, it's just one of those things, and I will fix it. Keeping these a little bit sporadic so you can still see the contrast of the dark background. Now I have got a rat's tail, and I've put the pink stone into the drill, and I'm just holding it over the top to flatten the top, and that brings me down to some fresh diamond. Of course, the diamond's going all the way down this side, and that wears out, so I'm just trying to find some fresh. And I'm pulling down some tiny little stalks, not necessarily from every single stamen, because otherwise it'll just get overcrowded and too bright and busy. And I've just gone over that leaf again. I was laughing at myself at this point. Probably calling myself a plonker or something like that. And so I've quickly taken the Dura White and I'm buzzing over the top of it with the rubber, just to get rid of those little marks. So back to the rat's tail. You will notice there is a leaf going up there over that flower at the top, which I managed to earlier on engrave completely out of camera range, because sometimes I just miss what I'm doing and didn't realize that I was out of camera. So I'm sorry about that. I think I will revisit this subject anyway, of putting leaves over the top of flowers. I might even do that, some of that in the next video. I've just got my Dura White, and I have decided to add some random little buds, perhaps, or beginnings of buds. They're very, very small. They're probably completely unrealistic, but who cares? They're really cute, and I just thought that they added a little bit of something. So now I decided to try and see about giving a shadowy effect where the leaf is over the flowers. But you know what? You have to try these things, because maybe in real life. That's if the leaf is not too high up and the sun is blasting down on the flower. But obviously there would be a bit of shadow. I decided I didn't like it, so thinking. There was smoke coming out my ears while I'm having a think about this. And then I decided to put my white petals back in again. Just because. See, if the petal is fairly high up and the sun is blasting across the flower, there won't be a shadow. And so that's my rule. Tiny little bit of highlight on these little miniature bud things, and one out the top, unfortunately. And I think that's almost it. Of course, one has to sign. Oh, okay. Oh. I decided there was a little patch that wasn't quite dark enough, so out with a big black rubber wheel. And now I have got a small-ish diamond to sign my name. Always sign and preferably date your work. But I write my full name, but you certainly don't need to do that. It's your rules. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye for now.